Yo, before we kick this off, do me a solid. Hit that subscribe button on USX Stories right now so you never miss the next legend. The sun hung like a molten coin in the Afghan sky, scorching the air into a wavering mirage above the flight line at Camp Liberty. 18 Super Hornets thundered overhead, their afterburners carving blue flames against the endless blue. Marines in desert camis hustled crates of munitions across the tarmac, their boots kicking up fine dust that clung to everything like a second skin. In the distance, a klaxon wailed, signaling another alert, another scramble to counter whatever threat lurked beyond the wire. Amid this orchestrated chaos, a lone figure stood motionless near the edge of the runway, arms folded, observing the frenzy with the detached precision of a chess master surveying the board. She was clad in the standard Army combat uniform, her hair pulled into a tight, flawless bun that defied the wind whipping off the rotors. Her boots bore the scars of countless deployments, scuffed and worn, but polished to a mirror shine. On her left shoulder, a black and gold patch proclaimed her affiliation, 1st Special Forces Operational Detachment Delta, the elite of the elite. But it was a subdued chevron on her right sleeve that drew whispers and sideways glances, a single rocker with 3 arcs, crossed muskets beneath a star that no one had seen on a living soldier outside of history books or museums. It was a kind of insignia that sparked memes on mil-spec forums. Is that real? Or is she LARPing as a Civil War ghost? Rear Admiral Mark Bulldog Callahan, commander of Carrier Strike Group 12, stepped off the MH-60S Seahawk with the unyielding swagger of a man who owned every square inch of ground he touched. Gold aviator wings gleamed on his chest, for thick stars glittered on each collar point, and his white combination cover was tilted at just the right angle to broadcast authority, without a word. His staff trailed behind him like obedient ducklings. 2 captains, 3 commanders, and a wide-eyed lieutenant who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. Callahan was legendary in Navy circles for 2 things: sinking a frigate in a live-fire exercise because its captain blinked first, and never, ever losing a pissing contest. As the Hello's rotors wound down, Callahan's sharp eyes scanned the base. He spotted the lone soldier standing there, hands now clasped behind her back, eyes concealed behind wraparound Oakley shades. Something about her stillness irritated him. Like a statue in a storm, unmoved and unyielding. No one stood that calm when a flag officer landed. It was a challenge, subtle but unmistakable. He decided to remind her who ran the world. Callahan strode directly toward her, boots kicking up puffs of dust, his entourage scrambling to keep pace. Phones were already out among the sailors and Marines. They smelled blood in the water, the kind of viral moment that would light up TikTok and Reddit for weeks. The Admiral halted 2 feet in front of her, looking her up and down like she was a midshipman who'd forgotten to shave. "Name and rank, troop," he barked, loud enough for half the base to hear. "And take those damn sunglasses off when you address a flag officer." The woman didn't flinch. She reached up slowly, deliberately, removed the shades, and folded them neatly into her cargo pocket. Hazel eyes, the color of rifle smoke after a firefight, locked onto his. "Sir," she said, her voice low and almost gentle, like a blade sheathed in velvet. "Master Sergeant Riley Quinn, United States Army. Good afternoon." Callahan barked a laugh that echoed across the tarmac, prompting nervous chuckles from his aides. "Master Sergeant? That's cute. I thought Delta only let real operators wear that tab. You sure you're not lost, sweetheart? This is a Navy evolution." A ripple of laughter spread through the onlookers. Phones tilted higher, capturing every angle. Riley Quinn's expression remained unchanged, stoic, unreadable. "I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, Admiral," she replied evenly. Callahan leaned in, grinning like a shark scenting chum. "You're just a recruit, I assume. Look at you, standing out here like you own the base. Who's your commanding officer, little girl? I want a word with whoever let an E8 play dress up in a combat zone." The laughter grew louder. Someone in the crowd yelled, "Get her, sir." Riley tilted her head a fraction, the barest hint of movement. "My commanding officer is currently in the SCIF briefing the Secretary of Defense, sir," she said. "But if you like, I can radio him." Callahan waved a dismissive hand. Save the attitude, Sergeant. I outrank every swinging dick on this dust bowl today. You will address me as sir and show some respect. Riley Quinn took one step forward. The laughter died instantly, like a switch flipped. Something in the set of her shoulders made the air feel 10 degrees colder, the haze thickening into an oppressive weight. She spoke again, still calm, still quiet, but every syllable carried like a .50 cal round piercing armor. Admiral Callahan, United States Navy, Service Number 539-74-2189. Naval Academy, Class of 1994. Current flagship, USS Abraham Lincoln. Fitness reports outstanding until 2019, when you received a letter of reprimand for ordering your Chief of Staff to falsify a material readiness report. That about right. Callahan's grin faltered. His aides froze, exchanging panicked glances. The crowd's murmurs turned to stunned silence. Riley continued, her voice softer still, almost conversational. You asked for my rank, sir. I gave you the one on my sleeve. But since you seem confused, allow me to clarify my current billet. She reached into her left shoulder pocket and produced a small leather wallet. With a flick of her wrist, she flipped it open, revealing a gold eagle clutching arrows and olive branches, encircled by stars. By order of the President of the United States and the Secretary of Defense, acting under Title 10 authority, I am currently serving as Base General, Joint Special Operations Task Force Liberty, with command authority over every service member, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, and Space Force inside this perimeter. That includes you, Admiral. The desert went dead silent, save for the distant whine of a drone patrolling the horizon. Callahan stared at the credentials, then at the single star on her chest, hidden subtly beneath the Delta tab, unnoticed until now. Then back at the credentials. His mouth opened, but nothing came out. Riley closed the wallet with a soft snap. So, Admiral, when you're ready to conduct your dog and pony show for the Secretary tomorrow, my staff will coordinate. Until then, I recommend you and your party return to the Navy compound before I have you escorted. We're a little busy keeping the world safe while you practice your salute. She paused, then added, almost kindly, and the next time you call a woman sweetheart, my AO, I will personally smoke you until you puke blood in front of your entire task force. Are we clear, sir? Callahan's face cycled through shades of red, white, and a sickly green reserved for seasick ensigns. He snapped the most rigid salute of his 34-year career, his forearm trembling slightly. Crystal, General. Riley returned a perfect parade ground salute, crisp and unyielding. Dismissed. The Admiral spun on his heel and marched back to the hello, his aides sprinting after him like scattered leaves in a gale. The Seahawk lifted off in a cyclone of dust, rotors thumping like a defeated heartbeat. Marines and sailors stood with mouths agape, phones still recording every second. That 10-second clip would go viral within hours, racking up millions of views, spawning memes, and igniting debates across social media. She owns my soul, one comment read. Protect this woman at all costs, said another. But that was only the moment the world saw. The real story, the one buried under layers of classification and red tape, began 6 hours later in the secure Compartmentalized Information Facility, SCIF, deep beneath the airfield. Riley Quinn sat alone at the head of a steel table, her uniform sleeves rolled up to reveal a lattice of scars on her forearms. Souvenirs from Kandahar, Mosul, and a dozen other black sites. In front of her lay a single folder stamped, Eyes Only, SAP/Strap 3. Behind her, a wall-sized screen displayed satellite footage. A convoy of black Toyota Hilux trucks racing across the Syrian desert toward a mountain compound that officially didn't exist on any map. The door hissed open with a pneumatic sigh. A one-star Air Force Brigadier General and a Navy SEAL captain entered, both looking like they'd aged a decade since breakfast. The Brigadier, a wiry man named Harlan with a mustache that screamed Top Gun Reject, cleared his throat. General Quinn, we have confirmation. They moved the package. HVD-0 is inside the cave complex tonight. Intel says he's planning to launch within 72 hours. Riley didn't look up from the folder, her fingers tracing redacted lines. Define launch. The SEAL captain, a broad-shouldered operator named Reyes with tattoos peeking from his collar. Swallow hard. A radiological dispersal device. Dirty bomb. Enough cesium, 137 to make half of Manhattan glow, for a century. They're calling it the 4th of July surprise. Riley closed the folder with deliberate slowness. Then we have 71 hours to ruin their party. She stood, and for the first time, the exhaustion showed. Faint lines around her eyes, a slight limp as she favored her left leg, a lingering gift from a Taliban IED in Kandahar that had punctured her lung and shattered her femur. The woman who just humiliated an admiral was human after all. Flesh and bone pushed to its limits. "Call the teams," she ordered. "Devil 6, Mako 1, and the Brits from Hereford. We go in tonight. No air support, no drones, no artillery. Quiet as ghosts." Reyes hesitated, his eyes flicking to her side where the limp originated. "Ma'am, General. With respect, you're still recovering from the Kandahar op. Your lung." "My lung will hold until mission is done, Captain," Riley cut in, her voice brooking no argument. "After that, it can collapse all at once." She limped to the map wall and tapped a ridge line with a scarred finger. "I'll take point with Devil 6. You'll insert here. If I'm not out in 20 mics, nuke the site from orbit. That's not hyperbole. I've already uploaded the request." Both officers stared, the weight of her words hanging heavy. Nuking a site meant crossing lines even JSOC rarely touched, but Riley's shadow rank, created post 9/11 for commanders too sensitive to name publicly, gave her that authority. She was the only living recipient, a ghost in the machine of America's forever wars. Reyes managed a nod. "Understood, General." Riley gave a tired half-smile, the first crack in her armor. "Relax. I don't plan on dying tonight. I still owe Admiral Callahan an apology for making him cry on the internet." 12 hours later, deep in the Hindu Kush Mountains, Riley Quinn, Base General, Delta Operator, Shadow Commander, led a 6-man team into the mouth of hell. The night was black as pitch, stars pinpricking the sky like distant gunfire. They moved without night vision goggles. The enemy had next-gen detectors that could spot NVG bloom from a kilometer away. Instead, they navigated by starlight, memory, and the raw trust forged in blood and fire. Devil 6 was her hand-picked crew, 5 Delta shooters she bled with across 3 continents. Sergeant Major Ghost Ramirez on her left, a wiry Mexican-American with a talent for silent kills. Corporal Viper Lee, the team's medic and demo expert, bringing up the rear. They ghosted through rugged terrain, boots silent on loose scree, suppressed HK-416S at the ready. Halfway into the cave complex, they hit the first surprise. Russian Spetsnaz advisors training the terrorists. Riley held up a fist. "Halt!" Through hand signals, she directed the team to flank. 2 suppressed bursts later, the Russians are down, throats slit for good measure. No alarms raised. Deeper in, the second surprise, the dirty bomb wasn't a single device. It was 12 backpack nukes, Soviet-era RA-115s, suitcase-sized horrors thought lost when the Berlin Wall fell. They sat in a chamber lit by flickering lanterns, guarded by jihadists chattering in Pashto. And then the final surprise. The man overseeing it all wasn't a bearded HVT with a turban. He was American, a former CIA case officer named Travis Kane, believed to have died in Leavenworth after a treason conviction. He turned as Riley's team breached the inner sanctum, his face illuminated in the dim red light of emergency bulbs. He smiled like he'd been waiting years for this reunion. Well, Kane drawled, his voice carrying a faint twang of a Virginia upbringing. "If it isn't little Riley Sullivan from Chicago. They gave you a star? The same girl I recruited at 18. Riley raised her suppressed M4, the red at sight steady on his chest. "Name's Quinn now, and you sold out your country, Travis." The traitor shrugged, unfazed. "Country sold me first. But enough chit-chat." He pressed a button on his watch. The cave lights blazed on, revealing 50 rifles rising from shadows. Jihadist mercenaries, a small army. Riley's voice cut through the glare like a knife. "You sure you want to do this the loud way?" Kane laughed, a hollow sound echoing off the stone walls. You're outnumbered 10-1, darling. Even you can't. He never finished. Outside the cave, in the blackest part of the night, every member of Joint Special Operations Task Force Liberty had silently taken positions over the last 6 hours under Riley's secret orders. SEALs from Mako 1, Green Berets, Marine Raiders, British SAS, Polish GROM, they'd encircled the mountain like a noose. The second Kane hit that button, the mountain erupted in controlled, surgical violence. Suppressed fire chattered from the ridgelines, jihadists dropping like puppets with cut strings. Riley's team moved like shadows, stacking bodies with precision headshots and knife work. Ramirez took down 3 with a single burst. Viper rigged a breaching charge on a reinforced door, blowing it inward to reveal more nukes. In the chaos, Kane lunged for a detonator. Riley fired twice, center mass, dropping him to his knees. She zip-tied his wrists as he gasped, blood bubbling from his lips. "You should have stayed a street kid," he wheezed. "And you should have stayed loyal," she replied, hauling him up. 15 minutes later, it was over. 12 suitcase nukes secured in hardened cases. Kane in custody, bound and gagged. 0 American casualties. A miracle in the annals of Spec Ops. Riley limped out into the dawn, blood soaking her side where a stray 7.62 round had found the gap in her plate carrier. Adrenaline ebbed, pain crashing in like a wave. A young Delta operator ran up, eyes wide with awe and concern. "General, we got to get you to a surgeon. That wound." She waved him off, coughing once, red flecking her lips, her lung protesting the exertion. "In a minute. First, I have a call to make." She keyed her satellite phone, the signal bouncing off orbital relays. A familiar, arrogant voice answered on the second ring. "This better be good. I'm in the middle of—" "Admiral Callahan," Riley rasped, her voice strained but steady. "Just thought you'd like to know your strike group can stand down from DEFCON 3. We fixed it. You're welcome." Silence stretched across the line, then very quietly, "Thank you, General." Riley smiled to the blood, the sunrise painting the mountains in hues of gold and crimson. "You still owe me push-ups for the sweetheart thing. I'll collect when I get home." She hung up, the world tilting as blood loss caught up. She let the medic lower her onto a stretcher, rotors whirring in the distance as extraction hellos inbound. 3 weeks later, back at Fort Bragg, a quiet ceremony unfolded in a secure room with no windows, no cameras, and guards at every door. The president himself pinned a second star on her collar. The real kind this time, not the shadow rank she'd worn like a cloak. "The country doesn't even know what you did, Riley," he whispered. "But we sleep better because of it." She nodded, her limp less pronounced now, scars hidden under a fresh uniform. "Tell that to my mom next time she asks why I never call." The president chuckled softly. "Deal." Outside that room, the world moved on. The original 10-second clip of Admiral Callahan turning white and saluting a master sergeant continued racking up views. Billions now, with fire emojis flooding the comments. "She owns my soul. Protect this woman at all costs." Meme pages photoshopped her face onto superheroes, her star insignia becoming a symbol of quiet power. But every man and woman who'd served on that deployment, Navy sailors on a Lincoln, Army grunts at Liberty, Marines in the dust, when they saw that lone figure with the quiet eyes and the impossible star, they didn't see a meme. They saw the reason they were still alive. The guardian in the shadows, bleeding for a nation that would never know her name. Riley Quinn returned to the shadows, her phone buzzing with a text from her mom. Saw that video again. "You okay, kiddo?" She smiled, typing back, "Just fine, Mom. Love you." And somewhere in the Pentagon, a file stamped, "Eyes only grew thicker." Another chapter in the legend of the base general who made admirals freeze and traitors kneel. Riley Quinn wasn't born to the military. She was forged in the fire of Chicago's South Side. Orphaned at 12 when her parents died in a car crash caused by a drunk driver, she bounced through foster homes, learning early that trust was a luxury and survival a skill. By 16, she was running with gangs, her quick wits and quicker fists keeping her alive. That's when Travis Kane found her, a CIA recruiter posing as a social worker. "You've got potential, kid," he'd said. "The agency could use someone like you." She enlisted at 18, lie about her age to escape the streets. Basic training was a joke. She excelled, her street smarts translating to urban warfare drills. Green Beret selection followed, then Delta, the unit that didn't exist. She was the first woman to make it, though officially, that record was buried. Missions piled up, rescuing hostages in Somalia, hunting warlords in Africa, disrupting arms deals in Eastern Europe. Each left scars, physical and otherwise. The shadow rank came after September 11th, with wars raging. The DoD needed commanders who could operate in gray areas, unbound by bureaucracy. Riley was chosen, young, lethal, loyal. The Base General billet was her curse and crown, authority without publicity, power without parades. Now, in Camp Liberty, that power had just been wielded publicly for the first time. After dismissing Callahan, Riley retreated to her quarters, a Spartan tent with a cot, MREs, and a locked safe for classified gear. She stripped off her top, examining the bruise from Kandahar in a cracked mirror. The lung puncture had been bad. Surgeons said she'd never run again. She proved them wrong, pushing through PT that left her vomiting blood. "Pain is weakness leaving the body," she'd mutter, echoing drill sergeants. A knock interrupted. It was her XO, Major Elena Vasquez, a former ranger with a no-nonsense glare. "Ma'am, the clip's already online." Callahan's piss called the SECDF. Riley smirked. "Let him. We've got bigger problems." The SCIF briefing followed, as detailed earlier. But let's dive deeper into the planning. Riley pored over maps, intel reports from drones and human sources. HVT 0 was Abdul Rahman Al-Sayed, a ghost who'd evaded capture for years. But the package was the real threat, the dirty bomb. SIGINT intercepts showed chatter about cesium from stolen medical sources, smuggled through Pakistan. Options. Riley asked the room, now filled with team leads. Brigadier Harlan suggested airstrikes. B-2s could level the mountain. Too risky, Riley countered. Collateral damage, and we need the package intact for analysis. Captain Reyes proposed a SEAL raid, fast rope and extract. Riley shook her head. Caves are booby-trapped. We go ground, stealth. She outlined the plan. Devil 6, her Delta team, infiltrates via a hidden wadi. Mako 1, SEALs, provides overwatch. SAS from Hereford handles exfil. Polish GROM secures a perimeter. And if it goes south, she said, orbital strike. I've got presidential approval. Murmurs rippled. Orbital meant kinetic rods from space. God's thunder untraceable. As night fell, Riley geared up. Plate carrier, suppressed carbine, night optics, switched off. Knife, grenades. Her team assembled in the Hello Bay. Remember, she whispered, we're ghosts. In and out. The Black Hawks lifted off, skimming low to avoid radar. Insertion was 5 clicks out. They humped in, sweat-soaking uniforms in the chill air. The cave mouth loomed, a black maw guarded by sentries. Ramirez took them out with a silenced pistol. Phut, phut. Inside, the air grew stale, laced with cordite and fear. First contact. Spetsnaz. Riley spotted their tattoos. Russian Bear. Hostiles, 12 o'clock, she signed. The team fanned out. Viper threw a flashbang. In confusion, they struck. Riley knifed one, feeling the warm gush of blood. Clear, she whispered. Deeper, the nukes. 12 cases. Radiation counters ticking softly. Guard patrolled. Devil 6 picked them off one by one. Then Kane. His reveal hit like a gut punch. He'd been her mentor, teaching her tradecraft in Langley basements. Betrayed for money? Ideology? Didn't matter. The standoff escalated. Lights on, rifles up. But Riley had anticipated betrayal. Her secret orders to encircle paid off. The firefight was brutal. Bullets ricocheted off stone. Grenades boomed in confined spaces. Riley took a hit, grazing her side, tearing flesh. Pain flared, but she pushed on, dropping 2 jihadists with headshots. Kane down, nuke secured. Exfil under fire. Hello's extracting amid RPG streaks. Back at base, medics stitched her up. "You're lucky, General," one said. "Luck's for amateurs," she replied. The ceremony at Bragg was intimate. Family absent. Her mom in Chicago, unaware of the details. The president shook her hand. "You're a hero, Riley." "Just doing my job, sir." The viral clip faded into legend, but Riley's story continued. In shadows, where true patriots dwell.